Welcome back. This morning, we're shining a spotlight on the Texas high school track meet stabbing case. This is awful. Student Karmelo Anthony is charged with murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. He's also a student just from another school. The incident happening at a track meet. Authorities say that Metcalf was stabbed to death there. Now, tensions riding high over the situation after a home linked to Austin's family was swatted by police. The swatting call happened just hours after Austin's father showed up uninvited to a press conference being held by Karmelo's family.
What we seen at the beginning of this press conference, the father being at this press conference, these are my words. Don't quote anybody, is a disrespect to the dignity of his son. That was disrespectful and just shows you all the character. Who was not invited, he knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family.
Okay, so the young man who died, his father came to that press conference, and he's been very outspoken, even through his grieving process, telling people to stop making the case something that it's not. There are some people saying that this case needs to be one that is a case based on racial issues and any racial animosity, and he's saying it's a case between two human beings, human issues at play. Nonetheless, the Anthony family did not like Mr. Metcalf there. So where do we go from here? Everybody online won't stop talking about this case or give these families privacy. And apparently the Metcalf family has been victimized by these swatting calls after the dad showed up at that press conference. What needs to happen here? Because this case isn't even underway, yet in the court of public opinion, it is. Let's bring in our legal eagles in the studio with me. Noah Pines, joining me remotely, attorney Melba Pearson. You both have experience serving as prosecutors. Melba, you're a professor now. Noah, you're in the private sector doing criminal defense work. So you both have seen and tried many self-defense cases, and we know that Mr. Anthony said to police on the scene, I did this in self-defense. We know that's what this case is going to be about. Is there a valid claim for that? Will be the next question, because anyone can say it, but can you legally make that out? So I want to dig through that with you both. Noah, would you get us started, please?
Sure. Well, a valid claim for self-defense is made in the courtroom, Julie. And what we're seeing now is just indicative of our society. You know, the fact that there's a couple things wrong. Nobody should be swatted, okay? Right. Either side.
Right.
Nobody should be doxxed, either side. We have rules of engagement that us lawyers play by. And if you're not in the game, and I hate to call it a game, but if you're not in the arena,
sure, the profession,
stay out of it,
right.
Because you're not helping anybody. And you're a criminal if you dox or swat somebody, and you should go to jail for that because people die.
Right.
And you know, you're sitting there behind your keyboard doing it. The other issue, you know, and I take, it doesn't matter which side, if it's the, you know, in this case is when the father of the victim showed up to the press conference, the person, I think it was a pastor, who was saying it was inappropriate. That is a horrible thing that he's doing for his family's client.
Right.
Right? That shouldn't happen either. You know, if this is a human thing, you want humans to be, he has the right to be there. Maybe you don't want him there. Maybe you embrace him is the way to do it. But one day, you know, Mr. Anthony might need some forgiveness from Mr. Metcalf. That might happen. That's probably going to happen at some point if he gets convicted. And to sort of blow it up in the beginning is not the right way to handle this. Let the professionals handle this. And that person conducting the press conference is not a professional.
Right, yeah, that may have made things worse, right?
It 100% made things worse.
Yeah, and as you said, no, it needs to be in the profession, in the courtroom. Melba, let me turn to you, please, about that. Gosh, we're in this day and age where this case, as you know, it's taken on a life of its own. But as Noah said, and I know you agree, you know, where things are going to matter is in that court of law. How do you see this playing out, this self-defense claim from Karmelo Anthony?
Yeah, so good morning, and I definitely have to co-sign Noah's comments on this. But I think it's going to play out from the standpoint of, number one, we don't know the full scope of the details. We hear bits and pieces, but again, there's been no public release of any statements Karmelo Anthony made other than right on the scene that I did it and this was self-defense. We don't have any video, so we don't know the nuts and bolts of what this self-defense claim is going to look like. We can speculate, and a good prosecutor will have to speculate, because the first time they're going to be able to hear the entire story in full will be when Karmelo Anthony gets on the witness stand to testify, because there's going to be no other way for him to be able to prove self-defense, because again, a prosecutor has the burden to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. But when you claim self-defense, the defense now has to prove that the actions that were taken were reasonable, were proportional in response to the threat, and lay out why they felt threatened. So the prosecutor is going to have to, make sure to game out, not to make it a game again, but just to really think through all the different avenues that could be presented to be able to either A, rebut it, and if you can't, then now you're in a separate situation. But lastly, I do want to note that while charges have been filed, there's still the grand jury that has to speak on whether or not this is the right charge. He's been arrested on first-degree murder, which is Texas equivalent of second-degree murder, but we don't know what the grand jury says, and they're going to hear testimony as well.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Melba, thank you for that. This is so early, as you know, this is so early in the process, as we know, right? We don't know how this will play out, and neither family should be attacked. And this makes me sick. I have a clip we want to play now. This is Karmelo Anthony's mom. So Karmelo is the accused in this case, and this is his mom, Kayla Hayes, speaking out at that press conference we were just talking about.
Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her.
This is horrible. This shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. And this was exactly what you were just touching on, Noah, about the doxing, the attacks, all that. It's nauseating, isn't it?
Correct.
How do we contain this? I want to get your thoughts on Melba. How do we contain this? Does law enforcement need to speak up? Who needs to say something?
I mean, this is pervasive in our culture these days, whether it's in, whether it's political or cases or, interactions that are just out in the public. It's got to stop.
Yeah.
But it's never going to stop because people just sit behind their phones and post stuff.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But yeah, law enforcement obviously should figure out who did the doxing and the swatting, and those people should be arrested.
Arrest them, charge them all, exactly. Mel, but your thoughts on how do we contain this? We're in this era where people who have nothing to do want to intercede and harm people and harass and bully. It's disgusting. Your thoughts, please.
It is disgusting, and I think, sadly, it's a testament to where we are as a society and a country right now, where we don't talk, there's a lack of empathy, and, people are just very stuck in their corners, and they believe what they believe. But also, too, some of it's shaped by life experience, and if you've seen and witnessed injustice, you obviously will be very sensitive to these issues moving forward. So there's a lot at play here. I think that the best thing that can be done at this juncture is for all the key parties just to be like, basically make an agreement just not to speak on the case. And it's my understanding that the Anthony family has indicated that this was going to be their one and only press conference until after the trial. I would think the prosecution would not want to give any interviews until the grand jury comes back. And once there's this not in the media as much, I think a lot of this tension will die down. But I think it's going to have to come from the top, not only law enforcement, but all the key stakeholders saying, listen, let's let this case play out in court and reserve judgment until then.
Well, but that's such a great idea. Now I know we can't turn back the hands of time, but they should have just united at that moment when the dad would say, look, we're both in very bad positions. Both of our lives have been turned upside down by these events. We want it to play out in the courtroom, respect the privacy of both of our families. Maybe they'll, like you said, Mom, maybe they'll get together and do that, and then hopefully it has the trickle-down effect. Great analysis from you both, as always. Mel, I know we need to let you get on with your day. Thank you for everything, for your time, for your expertise this morning. Noah, you're sticking with us for one more segment before you got to go to court. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're talking about lawyer Lori. Are we going to see her do it again?